All right. Bars going up a little bit more. It's better. Guys, let me know. Does the audio sound good? Does it sound terrible? A little bit more. I gotta mute that. So that terrible echo. So first, better. Okay. Anomaly says it's better. So else can kind of let me know. That'd be great. Okay, lag again. There just might be some lag. As long as you can hear me. Come on, guys. I'm not a great looking guy to begin with. You know. K. Suna, I'm doing fine, thank you. Copy. Maybe I should. Sorry, guys. This is the equivalent of testing out the visuals. Okay. So, quick question before we continue. Would it be better if I turned the visual off the audio? Would you be okay? We're probably going to wrap up in 10 or 15 minutes anyway, but bother that you would just rather not see me? Yes. Okay. I have one yes. Do I get hey, folks, so turn the camera off. There we go. Okay. So, you're just going to be looking at Appy for a little while then for the next 10, 15 minutes. So, um, oh, okay. So, I forgot what I was going to say. So, oh yeah. So finishing up from the last video, for those who, I don't know, how much of the answer, okay, here's the thing. Let's just do this. So yes, I believe Uber focused on putting competition out of business before having a working business model. And that was simply a Kalanick thing. He saw that he put Sidecar out of business. He thought he could do the same with Lyft. It obviously didn't work. And now we are in this position where all of the rideshare companies, none of them are making money because the second one person raises the rate, they're going to lose customers to these other service. But then it's kind of what I call the Amazon problem, where all of the bug box retail stores are selling stuff and they're Amazon pricing the match. They're matching Amazon's prices. And the problem with that is that Amazon has kind of been like Uber for a long time. They feel like they are still in startup mode and they sell most of their stuff at a loss. And the other companies have to either sell that item at a loss as well or have someone or lose that sale to Amazon. Lost and lose that sale to Amazon, and I don't know why. My opinion is if the item is losing money for everybody, it's not worth selling. But uh, that's just the way it is. Brian M says Uber Eats is a joke. Yes, it is, especially since they took away the ability or they added the feature where people could request that you take the food to your door. And what's really funny is that I've done just enough of it. I don't do it very often. In fact, I rarely do it, but I've kind of noticed, and people tell me the same thing, that people who are in houses that you could easily walk to their door and it would only take a couple seconds, they don't mind coming out to the car. But people who live in apartments, the ones where they really eat up all the time in these delivery services, they want you to come to their door. Okay, let's see here. Johnson Long says Amazon is effing everyone the butt, which is true. And he also says Uber has great potential. They just don't know how to run things other than rapid expansion. And yeah, I believe that is actually a key reason why they're failing so much because the way it used to work, and by the way, this is how Lyft has done it. This is why Lyft didn't expand super rapidly, is that you open a store, and once that store is profitable, you open another store, and then you open another store, and so forth and so forth. Uber expanded before making any money. Lyft only expanded once certain markets became profitable, and then they entered a new one. Um, the funny thing is, I'm making these waving gestures as if anyone can actually see me, of course. In Intuition Man said, "Do you think Kalanick's Uber model was just strictly wholesale from the beginning with a bait and switch, no tipping to get higher volume by making drivers work harder for pay?" I believe that. I don't think Kalanick wanted to be like wholesale from the beginning because how could he want it to? The company's not making money. But he didn't include the tips because here's the thing, if a driver not a driver, I'm sorry, if a rider is particularly generous, and by the way, on the day before Thanksgiving, I had some really generous tippers tipping me. I got 100 tips, $100 a day before Thanksgiving. Of course, I was doing it on Lyft, not Uber, because of the data breach. But but when you throw in tips, what if your first ride, like one day, I remember a year ago, I did a very early Uber ride. It was just a few blocks, and the guy gave me $100 tip. And you know what? Hey, I'll turn the app off. I made my $100 for the day. That's great. Obviously, Kalanick wanted to avoid that because people could reach their goals a lot faster with tips than without it. So that's why he was so staunchly against the tipping. And it's really that simple. Johnny Blaze, everyone wants us to walk to the door. Biggest trips are like $6. Sitting at the McDonald's right for 4 minutes for $5 payout. Insanity, yes. Um, and yeah, you will probably make more. Yeah, here's the thing: it's kind of hard because to debate whether or not you would make more money on ride sharing or delivery. Because when the tips are part of the delivery and you aren't stealing the delivery fees like DoorDash is, you could conceivably make a lot more money because you don't have to drive nearly as much with food delivery. In fact, the most you'll probably drive a day is like 50 miles, whereas Uber, it's easy to drive 400 to 500 miles in a day. But if there's no tips included, then yeah, the delivery is just so not worth it. Um, let's see here. Yeah, so Sleeping Elephant. I don't do any delivery for the socially awkward. Work is still work. Um, yeah, Sleeping Elephant, I agree, but you have to understand this friend of mine, and I'm not going to name him. I mean, like me, he has Asperger's syndrome, which is a form of autism, and you have. I mean, I'm in front of the camera every day, and I'm talking to people, but it took a long time for me to get comfortable. It is really hard work, and I'm still a little intimidated by it, to be honest. I've just conditioned myself to put on a show that I'm confident, and he's just not there yet. So, um, yeah. Also, Griffin points out very properly that food delivery has more dead hours, which I agree with, as evidenced by 2 weeks ago. Was it 2 weeks ago? No, about a week and a half ago. I was doing Postmates because they were offering $100 bonus for 10 deliveries in the Orange County area. Now, I completed those 10 deliveries and made over $100 with delivery and tips included. But it took 9.5 hours. It took the whole day because delivery is just not as consistent as rideshare. So, um, Zach Asante says, on the average, I do make $20 tips a day, so therefore I avoid cheap Uber pool, trying to make up the incentive. Yep, avoid Uber pool. Never accept Uber pool. Brian M, you're doing fine. Thank you. Say, Toik, was he talking about working? I think you're referring to me. or my friend. Yeah, that's one of the reasons getting a job has been so difficult for him. I mean, you have to meet him to understand. He's not a bad guy. He's a very nice guy, but he doesn't make eye contact and he speaks in very short sentences. And admittingly, that kind of personality is toxic if you're going to be an Uber driver. Because if someone says hi, he kind of mutters a hi back, and it just doesn't really work. So, yeah. Um, let's see here. Well, Mario S says food delivery sucks, stinks up your car, and people are cheap and too lazy to go out to the door to pick up their food. In all fairness to that complaint, um, I used to deliver pizza for Roundtable Pizza when I was like 19. It was like some more than 10 years ago. And people were not particularly good about coming out to get their food even back then. The difference, of course, is that with Roundtable Pizza, you make tips on top of minimum wage. So there's that. Um, Mario S says, actually, Uber Pool is sometimes a 50-50. Sometimes people choose Uber Pool for long rides. And yeah, if you get an Uber Pool with a long ride, that sucks because some riders have figured out that if they do Uber Pool on a long ride that requires a lot of freeway driving, there's a very low chance you're going to get a second ride and the fare will be like $20 off what they would normally pay. So that's definitely gaming the system for them. Um, yeah. Johnson, in all fairness to Mario S, the comment is only retards choose pool for long rides. Long rides, it's very, very unlikely someone's going to use pool for a ride that's more than 45 minutes, but they will use it for a 30-minute ride. And so Uber does not consider that a long ride, but that is, in fact, a long ride. And that long ride means that, hey, they are unlikely to pick someone up. So that's, you know, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, I know that drivers game the system, but riders game the system too. And can I honestly, as much as we complain about it, as much as we hate it, we have to admit if we're in that boat, we're gonna do the same thing. If you turn on the Uber app for a ride and find out it's surging, and you go to Lyft app and it's not surging, you're gonna use the Lyft app. So anyway, do we have any final questions before I wrap this up? Um, Well, Striker X, I just want to say I hate it when people use Uber or Lyft for anything less than 3 miles, but they do it because they're not paying much for it. I will say about that though, when the minimum trip was $10 a ride, you didn't see too many less than 3 mile trips on Uber. You just didn't because you'd have to be crazy to pay that. It's so much cheaper to walk at that point. But at $4, hey, they'll do it. Here's a question. Is there a way not to get into the queue when driving past the airport? Um, and Johnson wants to know, what do I think of Uber Eats? And Good Boog Enterprises wants to know, how's married life so far? Okay, 3 questions. Okay. Okay, those are the 3 questions I'm going to answer, and then we'll probably wrap it up. Married life has been wonderful. Wonderful. Um, she is such a wonderful person, and she makes me happy. Honestly, started out this channel because I was so angry at life that I had to rant about something, and I picked and DoorDash to do it about. See videos because they're fun, but I don't feel as angry anymore, so that's great. As for drive past the airport, yeah, unfortunately, you got to turn the app off past the airport and then turn it back on. I'm sorry. I actually have been meaning to make a video about the airport queue for a while, and I guess I will make that soon now. Uber Eats is that it's getting better. Uh, Famously, my very first two videos on this channel where I did not like Uber Eats, and they're very outdated now, but they still get tons of views, so figure that one out. Uh, and the problem with Uber Eats is that they were selecting they were very few restaurants. It wasn't busy, and there was no tipping. They've made more partnerships. It's getting busier, and now they allow tipping. Unfortunately, they still had to ruin it because one of the few nice things about Uber Eats all along was that you didn't have to leave your car. Now people are opting in to have it delivered at the door, which I think isn't right, but you know. Uh anyway, yeah, so I think it's getting better. In fact, it's kind of interesting because as far as Uber like totally screwed the pooch on Uber, started out awesome and got progressively worse. Uber Eats actually started out awful and it's been getting progressively better. Take that for what you will. Uh okay, final question. Rootmaker says, "Will Uber support give me a loan?" The answer is no, I wouldn't expect that. So anyway, I am going to end it right here, but I'm going to do more live streams. And in the future, I'll let you guys comment in the comments below whether or not you want them to be visual or whether the audio is just fine. And I also want to ask you guys one more question. One more question, and you can reply in the comments below. But what would you guys think about a monthly podcast between me and a couple other Uber or rideshare gig economy YouTubers? What would you guys think about that? Would you listen? I would love to know below. So comment and I and like, favorite, share, subscribe. Thank you to everyone for the donations. I really appreciate that. You have no idea. And yeah, F it, we'll do it live. So we'll do it live when we do it. So anyway, that's where we're gonna end it here. And for anyone who is watching the video later on, as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.